everybody? Tracy Hackler back with another riveting edition of the Roadshow Roundup. This is number 10 if you're counting from home, and I know you are because I am. That's 10. This is like a milestone episode, and the Roadshow Roundup kind of brings everything that we're doing at Roadshow Cards together. We have special guests around the board. The guy's counting with his fingers, Justin Channels, Ryan Channels, California Roadshow, Trey Huntsman, hat on backwards, big smile. From the shop, the Kentucky Roadshow. Cody Krim, his typically dark background, not sure where he's at. Hat on backwards, though, Texas Roadshow. And Kevin Kulikowski, repping New York as he always does. The lifeblood holding this podcast together. It's been another action-packed week. Can we say that? Yeah. Well, before we get into the shop updates, because the channels have some tales to tell this week, and they're not promising. Let's just say that. They stink. But a healthy contingent of Roadshow folks, myself, our fearless leader Jimmy Mayhem, Brian Fillmore, and the two Channels brothers were in Las Vegas last week at the Mint Collective, the inaugural event, and was wildly successful as far as I could tell. Channels, I don't know what y'all thought, but a lot of productive meetings with some industry business leaders, some partners of ours, some future partners of ours, and there was a card show to boot. Channels, quick rundown of y'all's thoughts on Mint Collective.
Yeah, absolutely. I think anytime you can get so many people together that are for business in the hobby, like it's not your typical card show. It was more, business cards and handshakes, and then the deals come afterwards. Everybody was walking around looking for who was there, and it was sponsored by a lot of big companies, and you could just tell like a lot of the cards offered at the card show were higher end. People were constantly moving in and out of the show, going to different seminars and different panels and different talks. I loved the mix of topics as well. Viewing cards as assets as one of them, and then the future of the hobby shop as a different one, and seeing different athletes get involved as well who have a vested interest in the hobby, in the industry as well. Like Peyton Manning was there, Jerry Rice was there, Tony Dorsett was there.
Emmett Smith.
Emmett Smith. Yeah, Emmett Smith. Thank you. But yeah, it was really great to see all the different networking possibilities and start making some new connections. Yeah. Go ahead, right?
Yeah, our dad owned a sauce company for 13 years, and he would go to the fine food shows in San Francisco, and it's like everywhere you walk around, there's like samples of food and sauces and things. And I kind of felt like this was more that than it was a card show. You'd like walk around, someone's like, here, grab a slab mag, have a card stand, like here's a breakers mat, here's a bag, like here's an eBay gift card.
Like, eBay's handing out silver coins. Like,
yeah, like there was all like, it
did
just
you guys melt them down already?
So people, you get more familiar with the different people in the hobby and the different businesses within the hobby, and or I guess rather the industry from this standpoint. But it was I felt like it was very hobby heavy industry. It wasn't like too crazy on like the investors, and like you didn't see a lot of NFT stuff there. It was more just like we love cards so much, and here's the future of cards, and how can we make this better, more inclusive, and a well-rounded industry, and let's all put our heads together and find the best solution. And it was a lot of thinking, a lot of contemplating, and I think very productive for not only us as a company, but the industry as a whole, for sure.
Yeah, we had some really productive meetings with quite a few folks. Loved having Jimmy on the Future of the Hobby Shop panel. Thought he had a lot of good things to say. He made the media rounds a little bit on Saturday too. And yeah, if you were into high-end singles, there was a lot there at this show. If you were into wax, I think Mitch Gutenberg at the bullpen was probably the only guy that had significant amount of wax. So I'm sure he did pretty well.
He was just kicking it, wasn't
he? He was kicking it with no kicks in many cases. But for those of you who didn't get to attend, we put together a quick video montage to show you what it was all about. Oh, Channels Brothers, what's up, guys?
What
What are we doing right now?
What are we doing? What we're doing, we're plotting, scheming,
Las Vegas dreaming.
Las Vegas dreaming.
Yes, that's what we're doing.
So no, we're going around. We're looking for deals. We're mostly networking, just trying to put a face to the names of all the people here. We got Jimmy's panel coming up. We're super excited for it. It's going to be with Mitch and a bunch of other iconic card shop owners, and it's going to be super fun to be there for that. And in the meantime, just trying to do some deals, make some friends. And
I've already done some deals.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm still waiting on this guy.
We walked in, and this guy in the first two seconds, he's got like 7 Derek Carr cards in front of him. It's just, he's like, we're in Vegas, you know.
Yeah.
So.
You're in the right market for
It's
that.
Vegas, baby.
Yeah,
You got to do it.
Yeah.
All right, well, y'all go enjoy yourselves, and we'll talk soon.
Let's go.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Where's Justin right there?
There he is.
What are you doing, Justin?
What are we doing? I did it. You guys missed
What'd you
it.
get?
I got the 53 page.
Wow. That's beautiful.
It's stunning. Yeah, I'm very excited.
Beautiful. Was it a good deal?
I like it.
What'd you have to give up for it?
What? A little something called cash.
Okay. That's the.
You may have heard of it.
That card is that's the best card you can play.
Yeah.
Referred to as king.
So my name is Jimmy May. Please don't deduct IQ points from my accent. I understand what I sound like, but I'm from Lexington, Kentucky. I own a card shop there, but luckily got a great big partnership with guys like Hackman and Brian Fillmore who are here. But we have a shop in Sonoma, Dallas, Lexington, Kentucky, Bronxville, New York, a breaking studio in Jacksonville, Florida, and actually are about to open a shop in Bogota, Colombia, which sounds very odd, but I'm not an art terrorist. And luckily this is a panel that doesn't take itself too seriously, like I should have been a steady stream of that today. But we are about creating shops and experiences from every time zone, and then eventually move internationally. And I don't know about myself, I've had a crazy life. Real short version. High school teacher and principal in my 20s, started a bank in my 30s, lived in foster care group home for 3 years with some tough stuff in late 30s, ran a YMCA camp, and then now own card shops. But the steady stream through my entire life has been cards. And I'm thrilled to be with this group. But it's different when you have a shop and you're not in LA or New York, right? It's a lot harder in some ways to do this. So we focus constantly on being transformational versus transactional. How do we create the space for that to happen? And in the little towns where you got to really work at creating that community because you don't have 8 million folks. So part of it is all of our shops are to be destination shops. It's almost like half museum, half card shop, where people just want to be there and see and stay and hang out. That same concept. All right, our next shop, we're expanding in Kentucky, and it's like, I want to put a coffee bar in here and couches for the moms and dads that are just there to wait. Like me at JC Penney with my wife or something. Like, guys, just give me a cup of coffee and a comfortable seat. And then it's like we have a headquarters across the street. It's going to be more private than public offices, but so we don't need a parking lot. Okay, well, it's across the street from the shop. I'm going to put in a basketball court and 10 yards of turf, and so kids can use it to play. And then we can do signings over there and events, and then come back over to the shop later. But all year round, it's going to create that. So it's, yes, you can buy your cards here. That is great. But there's a lot of old guy tell the young guy story, because it's a lot different than it used to be collecting. Young guy tell the old guy story, because it's not the same now. And it's not buy your stuff and leave. It's if you buy something great, but just come in and stay. And then we know your kids, we know your grandparents, we know your nephews, all of that, and it creates that second person talking to you. Like, we can always give a pitch about what we do and what we run, but it's that person that came in, had that experience, and then talks to the next person like they're great. It's what this next thing has become is, even if you don't have like a cool floor in your shop or whatever, that doesn't matter. It's because now I've got to go to the shop at the Patriots Stadium on like a Fox Gillette. I've got to go to Bullpen. I've got to get to these places and see it, because I've seen so much of it online, and it's worth my time to get there, to see these legends, to see these people. God knows I'll be in Australia at some point. Come here to shop.
I'm going to Columbia.
Oh man,
Everyone come?
let's go. Trust me, everything's fit for the price away. Including the cars. Yes. That's all the. But it is. That's another part of all this theme of where it's going next is. Yeah, like if you were a card collector 20 years ago, you look up, is there a card shop nearby that I can go on this family vacation and God, I need to rip something. But now it's like, oh, I'm going to Indy next week. I've got to go see Andy. I'm going to St. Louis. I got to go see RBI. I'm going to go on. Like, I'm there for other things, but now I can go to those shops that I've watched so much online. And I think that's a cool development that is relatively new.
So there you go. There's a little taste of what was going down at the Mint Collective. The Channels brothers took a starring role in our recap. They're making deals on the floor.
That's right.
Jimmy had a few of Jimmy's responses from the Hobby Shop panel. And I'm quite confident that the Mint Collective will be a staple event in our industry going forward.
So I have
and
a
speaking
question
Oh, yes.
for
Kevin.
the members of our team who attended. Sort of a fun little exercise that we could do. So obviously this was the first Mint Collective, right?
Yes.
Besides from specific business meetings, because that's sort of unique to each individual person.
Sure.
One thing that you loved that the Mint did, and one thing that you think they could improve on, if anybody has anything for that.
So the one thing that I think they could improve on was the distance between the host hotel rooms and where the show took place. It was a long, long walk. It was in the same casino, and I don't mind walking. I don't mind exercise. I love it. I run a lot, but it was a journey to get from the hotel to the convention center, and you had to go like down and then up and then down. It was crazy, but the thing that I liked a lot of it. It had a really good feel, first class feel. It didn't seem to have a lot of the organizational challenges that a lot of new shows might have, especially one of this scope. And I think them having to postpone it a few months due to COVID issues was probably the best thing that happened to it, because it allowed a lot of buzz to build. And the Mint was really good about having their partners putting the show on, start promoting it heavily on their own social channels. So there was quite a bit of buzz.
I want to piggyback off Tracy's comment really quick. So when you walk in to the MGM, there's all these signs for all the different areas. Oh, the theater's this way. Oh, the casino's this way. The sports book is this way. I think it would have been really nice for people walking in to have a big sign that, because like, oh, we know what theater that it's in, and there's a sign for it, but it's like, then you go this way, and then, oh, wait a minute, now the sign's gone. So like maybe a few signs
Just saying,
at the entrance, hey, Mint Collective this way. And then another one, you walk another couple minutes, it's this way, just to be certain for people, because we walked around with probably about a total of 10 people, other collectors, all with our slab cases and our big smiles, right? Looking for the slip. We can't find
Everybody
this
had
place,
big smiles,
right?
or just you guys?
Well, everybody
I
else.
had a big
was
smile.
It reminds me of me and Kevin trying to find the battery in Atlanta
That was yeah.
because
Yeah.
our driver drops us off and we're like, all right, where's the battery? And our Uber driver's like, this is it. But it was actually the battery at the battery.
It was
I guess.
live at the battery.
Live at the battery.
Yeah.
So like us and like multiple other collectors are just walking around aimlessly,
right.
like not knowing where to go.
One other thing I thought. Oh, go ahead, Justin.
Oh yeah. So then the thing that I liked about it was the idea, and I don't know, I like EDM. I like dance music and stuff like that, and I really like the idea of having an after party. So it's kind of like trade night on steroids. So you can going. I'm talking in reference to the Hakkasan.
No, you weren't on steroids.
Well, no,
The trade night was with.
yeah. The having that there in the nightclub was really cool because it was all you can drink, all you can eat. Like they're just bringing out chicken.
They're like, would you like white truffle Argentinian beef seared and like all these things? Just like, what even is this? Like,
Yeah,
it was
absolutely.
it was really cool.
And then
Solid.
the boys from Rip Pack and Slab were there singing, or they're
Random idea.
It was cool. Yeah.
Yeah,
RPS
it was very entertaining to say the least, and it was cool to be surrounded by a lot of people in the industry just kicking it back. And I'm sure a lot of other events have been similar, but I felt like that one had a fun twist to it.
I'll say, like, sitting at home on the East Coast, I really wish some of it was simulcast or like live stream.
So that's what I was
awesome.
gonna say. As someone who didn't attend, I feel like it really wouldn't be overly complicated for them to add a live streaming aspect into it. And then also to Kevin's point, y'all may know because y'all were there and may have heard some news, but I had actually heard that there are rumblings of having an East Coast version of the Mint Collective later in the year. Maybe do
that was definitely brought
two
up.
a year, one on the West and one on the East Coast.
Yeah, I definitely heard rumblings of that, and I like that idea.
I think you could see multiple Mint collectives throughout the show calendar year. I think that they've got big ideas now, and it did feel really sleek and modern. Like the panels, all of the guests were mic'd up, like with lapel mics, so you didn't have to hold a mic and pass it down like you see a lot. And one other cool thing I didn't mention that I thought was one of the coolest things of the show, in my opinion, Collectibles, one of the presenting sponsors, and they had a content studio on the back of the show floor where you could schedule time to record any content you wanted. They would produce it and get it back to you to use on your own social platform. So we took advantage of that, and me, Jimmy, and Brian sat down and I kind of interviewed them about Roadshow and the future and all that stuff. And they're going to send us a professionally polished, packaged piece of content that we can use on our social feeds. And I thought that was pretty cool. I hadn't seen that done before.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
One more quick question, and then we can move on just if we need to. But do we think that, like, is the Mint trying to be the national 2.0, or is it like, just this is like, they're like, this is business, but we want to be the go-to for business? Because normally in the industry, all the big stuff usually happens like at the national, right? Like that's where the meetings of the minds happen, and and so now to have the Mint, at least this first one, decently close to it, like I don't know, not to say will it devalue the national at all, because it won't, but it's interesting if these two are gonna coexist in the same space as being like giants of the conference game, but run by two completely different companies.
I think it's great that the Mint is coming out so strong right out of the gate, and I think that it maybe puts a little bit of pressure on the national to step things up and to do it. Not to say they need to. I think the national is great. I'm excited to see what happens to the national and see if it turns a little bit more that way, a little bit more higher end. But that's what's so nice about the national is it's high end, it's low end, it's everything in between. It's for all collectors, and so maybe this could be established as like the high end national. I don't know. Like you could make an argument for that, but
going off that too, that was one of the things we noticed was like, and obviously we've said it here earlier, but there is a lot of high end here, and so if you're looking for high end, great. But what if you are from the West Coast, which is another thing I want to get into, but you're from the West Coast, you come to the Mint, it's your first time, and you have a budget of, $1,000, and there's not a lot of low end for you to pick. Like, you don't want to limit yourself to one card. Like, is there an opportunity for, it doesn't have to be us, but for somebody or for a shop or for something to take that and bring deal boxes or bring.
You could call that one Thin Mints, and that'll be down the block, the other conference.
It'll be off the strip.
Yeah.
in a Marriott.
Yeah. But that was something. But that was another point I wanted to touch on, and I'd like to hear Kevin and Cody, and you guys have a lot more show experience. But at least for me, I feel like this for the West Coast was phenomenal because Ryan and I saw. How many people that we recognized or that recognized us from the West Coast that were like
7? I'm going to say 7.
Well, at least.
Oh no, I thought you were doing trivia. I'm sorry.
Yeah, at least 6 or 7. Yeah,
we had a booth. We were all with our buddy from Goat City, and there was probably at least 15 of us from the Bay Area. They were like, "Oh yeah, we'll see you guys next week at the Hayward show." And it was like to have 15 of us from the West Coast all at the same place. Well, like, this is so great for the hobby and so great for the West Coast that, like, I think should be a mainstay because it provides so much more opportunity for all of us. Like, the Nationals in Atlantic City, that's on the complete other side of the country, right? So for the people on the West Coast who might not make it there, this is a great alternative. So
I think it is a mainstay now. I think you'll see it every year, and I think it can coexist with the National because it's a truly unique event in that it combines the business aspect with some collecting aspect, but not like the National has everything from every era.
Bobbleheads from 1922.
Yeah, but not as much like business development as like back in the day, the Nationals where all the card manufacturers had their press conferences and they would bring athletes and they would unveil new products, but that doesn't really happen as much anymore there. And so I think there's a spot for both of those. And I heard the phrase, it's like the industry summit on steroids a lot over the weekend, which I think is probably a more apt comparison. But I think there's room for both. As we've proven in this industry over the last 2-3 years, like, more doesn't necessarily mean congested or crowded. It just means more opportunity. And I think that's the case with these. And then I will say, for those who weren't on our weekly company call, we talked about this, but the Roadshow.
For those of you that weren't, so for literally everyone else.
Right. It's a public service announcement. I can say that people are talking about Roadshow, people out there so even if a lot of people who are on this podcast, the guy in the lower right, especially, he's always talking about our people watching, or people picking up on what we're putting down. And I can tell you that they are watching, they are listening, and they're talking about Roadshow, and they want to know where else we're going.
David is not watching.
David, if it's episode 10 that you decide to tune in and give it a listen, just know we shout you out every episode, and we still appreciate the work you do.
We love
even if you don't hit that
we
follow,
do.
and subscribe.
I love you, David. And you know who else is an AWL, a P1 listener?
Drake.
From not Drake. Not Drake that I'm aware of. Drake, maybe.
I send him the link every week.
P1
I don't know if he watches it or not, but
some friend.
He's on our call every week. Jimmy Gale. I talked to Jimmy Gale today, and he loves the podcast and was asking when we're recording this week's because he's got a lot of driving to do in the next few days, and he wanted to know when he could look forward to downloading it. So,
special
shout out Jimmy Gale. Yeah.
Shout out to Jimmy G.
Jimmy G, and the place to be. Somewhere in NC. Maybe I'm Drake.
Flow.
Maybe I'm Drake. You think about that?
Potentially.
Champagne Hacky.
Oh, there you go.
That needs to be your burner account.
Well, I was going to say, speaking of Drake, I think he's looking more and more like a mainstay in this hobby. Sports Card Investor actually did a video on if celebrities are good or bad for the industry. and really the what they said and their general consensus was it's good if it's not a one and done type of thing, and they actually stick around. And I think, I'm just going to be honest. I thought that when we saw Drake first, now 3 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago now, when he first went live for the first time, ripping Flawless, I thought, well, this is a one and done thing. Like, for one, he got destroyed on the cases he ripped, pulled like $100 in cards. Not really, but it felt like it. And then slowly but surely, it just seems like he's on another break every 2 or 3 days. For those that didn't catch the one with Ken Golden, he was I just from like working at Panini prior and being able to like having the opportunity to be around pro athletes. A lot of times, and Tracy, I think you can attest to this, a lot of times you can sniff out the guys that really care about why they're there and versus the guys that are only there because they're getting a paycheck or a sponsorship or something. Drake made it very clear on the Ken Golden thing. There's no sponsorships involved. In fact, both Card Porn, I don't know if I can say that on the air, and Ken Golden, both in their titles on the live, said that there was no sponsorship, that Drake just enjoys opening cards, and that's all that it was about. And Drake seemed genuinely interested in the National, and has said a lot of people that are in the card game have hit him up about going to the National. So it's been really refreshing to see that it's not a one and done thing, and to really see that like there's a very, very mainstream celebrity that seems genuinely interested in the hobby and in the industry.
So let me tell you something about Drake and the National. So whenever I was a junior at UK, Drake came to Big Blue Madness for the second or third time. He came out and he promised the students of UK that he was going to come back and do a free concert at Rupp for all of the students.
Nice. When did that concert happen?
It's 2022 and it hasn't. Just to let you know, De'Aaron Fox was the point guard for that team that he was at. So we'll see. How about that? I'm still waiting. I still got my student ID so I can go to this thing whenever it happens.
Let's go.
So funny enough, he actually did that at UTA, but he actually did do a concert because it was like I was like a junior in college, I think, too, and he actually did come back and do a free concert. So
that's great.
It is.
So he's keeping promises to somebody.
Yeah,
I want to run
he's
through.
airballing jumpers here.
Hey, there's Ryan Channel with the every episode yawn every time. Dude.
My God.
It's like 8
Right, what do you
a.m. out there, isn't it? Like,
Why can't we all so long?
That is
No, we are. But to Cody's point, like, I mean, when it comes to like major entertainers, like Drake might be number 2, maybe 1. I don't know.
Behind who? Rick Ross?
No, like
The spouse, Justin Bieber.
I don't know, like Bieber, and
I think he's bigger than Bieber because he
He's bigger than Bieber.
transcends. You gotta
Yeah,
think he's acting,
Yeah.
he's singing.
Yeah,
He's hosted
Degrassi.
SNL.
Let's
He's-
go.
I think as
Like,
far as
he's
pop
Drake
culture
from
is
State
concerned,
Farm.
Drake is probably number 1.
Yes.
Right. I mean,
he's also
so
been
I
doing
think-
it since 2008.
Yeah. I think Cody and I have
Drake
said
is
this
the
like
10th artist in the world on Spotify.
thanks.
impressive. When Drake started, me and Cody immediately were like, all right, well, who's the most famous person who's been in the hobby like to this point?
I'm gonna throw Kevin under the bus. Kevin didn't even think it was actually Drake.
Correct. I'll tell you, I didn't like when that first break when Drake was in the chat being like, pick box number 6. I was like, there is no way that this is actually Drake. This is his boy on his account trying to get some free Flawless basketball. Like,
He's like,
that's all
send the
this
base. I need it.
Right. Exactly. But no, so me and Cody had said, all right, most famous person in the hobby, probably Mark Wahlberg, right? Up until Drake. Mark Wahlberg by association, I would say, took the cake. Drake has like 5 times the amount of followers that Mark Wahlberg has on Instagram. And so he took it to a whole nother level. And I think the most shocking thing as we continue to see this Drake storyline unfold is he said one thing that really caught me, and I'm sure will catch a lot of collectors. And I don't know, I'm sure somebody snipped it somewhere, but he essentially said, everybody's jumping into this crypto and NFT phase, right? And not to call it a phase, but jumping on board crypto and NFTs. he said, but there's something to be said, and this was as they were opening 86 Fleer. He said, there's something to be said about physical assets that you can hold. And then he took that a step further and said VHS tapes, which is wild because the graded VHS tape market is like starting to get tapped into now. And I'd be interested to see if he moved the needle at all on that by saying that, not to accuse pump and dump or anything, but like he seems to value collecting, right? And so that stuck out. But then on top of that, he knew his Jordan was coming, that first pack, and literally did his research and said, oh, the way 86 was packed out on the feeder, there's probably a Jordan in here.
And I tell you what, sure enough, there was. Like,
which is mind-blowing that somebody you think, look, somebody as famous as Drake, you're probably like, he doesn't have a free minute in the day. But this dude took the time to do the research before opening these cards to know. Like, and just I will admit when I'm wrong. Cody, I was wrong. Drake is 100%.
Cody could also talk about a little bit about like the Ninja stuff too, and what that did to Fortnite with Drake.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I mean that's kind of what I brought up to Trey whenever it happened. It's weird to think back on this, but like before Ninja played with Drake on Fortnite, like for one, I think a lot of gamers were playing Fortnite, but I don't think it was as mainstream. But then also there was like a handful of streamers that were doing it full time. Like maybe 5 to 10 streamers were able to do full-time streaming of video games. And now since then, it's like literally made people's careers. Like there are hundreds of millionaires just from video game streaming now. And I hope it does have a ripple effect. Like I've said for a long time that Flawless is the most undervalued product in the industry. At the last national, I was buying.
Can you put your preface on that? Can you put the asterisk on that?
Why? What asterisk?
Singles, not hobby boxes.
No. Hobby. I think hobby boxes too.
You really?
Yeah.
After seeing those breaks?
Yes. Have you seen how much basketball is going up now? It's like 17K.
Don't
Have you
remind
seen
me.
how many? Have you seen how many Kenny?
No, I get it.
Skywalker
I get it.
autographs
But I'm
that,
saying,
were pulled
I'm
in
not
that
saying,
case?
I'm not saying you should buy. Nope. I want to be clear here. I don't want to advocate
Go ahead.
buying Flawless boxes and ripping them. That is a horrible idea.
That is all I
But
wanted you to do.
I'm saying buying Flawless boxes and putting them in a closet and forgetting about them, great value. And singles, great value. I was buying like a ton of Flawless football and basketball because a lot of the rookie stuff is game used and on card autos, and they're pulled from a box that's like, 5 figures a box. Like it just doesn't make sense like why they're so low. I still agree that to a point, but like to Kev's point, like Drake seems to have a lot of knowledge on what he's doing. It's not just here for that. And to Trey's point, let's not underestimate the impact that Drake can have. He essentially, I don't want to say he was responsible. I think that gaming was already on a trajectory where it was going to get to this point at some point. But I think Drake just helped push it over the edge, and won't be surprised if he does a similar thing with sports cards.
Yeah, I mean, he's the epitome of what's cool and what's hot, and there will undeniably be a halo effect, not just with people getting in who may not have been aware, but fellow celebrities and friends of his who want to get involved in it too. And it is cool that he is so knowledgeable, and under the surface is a dork, kind of like the rest of us are. And he may have read that back in '99 when I offended people. But it's another exciting development in an industry that's had a litany of exciting developments over the last 2-3 years. So the momentum continues. If he shows up at the National, I don't think any of us would be surprised. And it will be fun to watch.
Yeah, the channels are 100% going to graph him.
We've already got our vinyls ready.
We've already
dude.
ordered vinyls.
We're already ready.
I'm not gonna lie, roast me all you want. That I'd freak out. If Drake walks up to my booth, I'm not me anymore. Like,
No, but when he comes to our booth, Trey can be like, "You stood me up for the last 6 years."
You have to buy all
no,
of
sign
them.
these 10 vinyls. No.
What a
Wait,
what
no
a-
channels.
what
So
a
I'm gonna tell you,
character arc.
like, I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm gonna need one of those vinyls. Like, pick up an extra one, do the work. I will compensate you for your time.
If you give
I'm
me a
not-
signed "Nothing Was the Same" album,
Dude, I want him to write "I've been Steph Curry with the shot" and then sign it.
that would be kind of cool for the
That
show.
would be like amazing.
So, what are the odds that Drake's next album that he dropped? I don't think he's dropped one in a couple years, but the next one has a line about ripping or Ken Golden or something.
Ken
Oh, there's
Yeah.
got to be.
There will be a flawless line.
Not
there
too
has,
crazy.
There has to be, yeah.
Absolutely.
Not too crazy.
Or like it'll be like something like flawless and then like Gem Mint 10. Like
Or
Yeah,
he'll
logo
say it like
man.
elusive,
all
like
my,
the logo.
all my
man.
slapstick golden, like
Oh,
I got that
Wow.
inner box like I'm flawless or something like.
At this point,
okay.
would
All
it-
right. I'm out. That was.
I
that was
didn't
too
know
good.
California could get down like that.
All right.
At this point, would any of us be surprised if he is a special guest at the Panini VIP party?
Yes,
I'd be a little surprised.
Yeah.
No, I would be very surprised.
I wouldn't be surprised. I can see the channels with just backpacks full of In-N-Out Burger gift cards to give to Drake. With his
Yeah, guys, do you have to trade him a box of flawless for autographs? Like, how is
It's Tim Hortons gift
I would
cards.
gladly trade him like a Curry flawless patch card or something.
Drake? You
What
heard
does
it
his
here
autograph go
first.
for?
If you're listening,
Any idea?
What's that?
What does his autograph go for? Any idea? Like
I
ballpark?
think signed vinyls are like, are they like?
I think they're like $1,000.
Yeah, like 800, $1,000.
So not like out of not.
No, he's actually a really good.
He's
signer.
no Sir
If you
Paul
run into him,
McCartney.
he's usually really
Serious question. Let me ask you this: what would a Drake flawless auto sell for if they put one in next year?
Oh my gosh!
Or like a signed briefcase, or like an actual
No.
card?
Like an encased card. Say it's like a diamond number to 20.
I mean, what do the Jay-Z
Autograph?
cards go for? I mean, that would be nuts.
Hold on, we just checked here. Drake's albums actually go for around $2,000.
15K would be the card, Trey.
15.
I think so. Don't you? Out of 10 or 20?
Yeah, I mean that's what I
diamond?
would have said. I was saying 15 to 20.
Speaking of 15 to 20, it might be that many weeks before the California Roadshow opens up. Well, what's going on in California? You guys had so much momentum going in your development, and then you had the roots in the walls, and you got past that, and then what?
Well,
where
so
are
we-
you now?
Yeah,
You guys
we
are-
didn't really get past that. The landlord had her own contractor come in, and he kind of put a Band-Aid on it, for lack of better words. And there was some rain recently, and there was water all in the back room, and it.
The first thing was 41 days ago, as of today, we sent her a text.
But who's counting?
Images and stuff. No, I'm not counting. About
41's a good number, by the way.
there's a hole
Dirk.
by the drain, right? Where the water's obviously the water's going to come in, and the patch job on the asphalt is not
on the cement.
Make sure you censor that.
Right?
What's your language, dude?
It's not-
We're gonna have to put the explicit warning on now.
I
Yeah,
haven't cursed today.
it's just it was
Today?
super like it wasn't very solidified. It was
chat.
very roughly done. And so our contractor comes out and says, "Hey guys, just letting you know, if it rains, water's going in there." So we sent her a text, and she says, "I'm not too concerned about problems down the road. I'm concerned about problems right now." Right? It's like, okay, nothing we can do about that, I guess. And then, of course, we had our first rain this last week, and so we come home from Vegas. It's raining. We said, "Oh, let's go in tomorrow after the rains clear up and check it out." Sure enough, the walls are soaked, and the hole is full of water and stuff. So we got to get that fixed, and we brought her back out, and she goes, "All right, well, now we got to find a solution to this problem." When in reality, we presented the solution to the problem over 40 days ago, and she didn't do it correctly. So now
that and our electrical permit wasn't passed. There was like dangerous wires in the walls, and we had those removed, and the electric crew that she had come out didn't do a great job, and it's going to set us back a little bit more time. And then we also found out today that our card bar needs to be ADA approved, so we had to redesign that and resubmit the plans to the county, which will take another week to resubmit. But we're also stuck for a week because she has to redo the back room anyway. So that actually isn't that bad, but it's just another thing that came up today.
Yeah.
Well,
So
that
now
stinks.
we have to wait for her contractor because she won't work with ours. She won't work with our contractor.
Here's what you need to do. Here's my advice. I think you just need to flush all that out of your mind
Right.
and just do what you can, control what you can control.
Yeah.
And just stay at it.
Like this is not going well. It's been tough on us to have to deal with all this. And at the same time, we got to keep moving forward. So trying to figure out what the best route to do here is. And if she says she's going to fix, I mean, she came in, we had all this stuff ready. We had all the things lined out, and she spent about, no joke, probably about a minute and a half with us today saying, yes, okay, all right, yes, I'll handle it. And then she left. So it's been a tough week.
Guys, I think just to put something into perspective for you guys during this tough week, and I know you're saying like you need to keep pushing ahead, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes there's just nothing that you could do in the moment, and like it's okay, right? Like it's out of your hands right now.
Yeah.
Everything's gonna work out. So don't put that added pressure on yourselves that like literally nothing that is happening right now you can control, right?
Thank you, Kevin.
It's all gonna work out. And I know it's a bummer for you guys, and I know it's a setback, but like look, the stuff that you have planned for the shop when it's open, people are going to come, whether it opens in May, June, July, 2023, the same time Drake does the concert at Kentucky. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, so don't put that added pressure on yourself, because sometimes it's just out of your hands.
It's all part of the process
And we have to trust it.
No,
We do have to trust the process. It's something we talk about quite often on this podcast, is all you guys are going through similar situations with things outside your control, need to have input on what you're doing. And when that doesn't go well, you get frustrated. But you just came back from Vegas. You made a bunch of deals.
Yeah.
Your mom and dad have a boatload of puppies at the house.
That's right.
Love
and you have your health. So you guys are good.
Shout out Napa Doodles.
Yeah.
Napa
What
Doodle.
a great name.
Napa Doodles.
I will say at the Vegas show, I found a 1953 Satchel Paige, which you'll see in the video.
Did you buy it?
I did buy it. It's a PSA 3, and it's beautifully centered, and there's no flaws. And I was talking to Ryan about this. Like, it was really interesting because that's one of the cards that has always eluded me. And I feel like I've honestly been looking for a copy of that card for about 5 years. But I'm always just so picky. Oh, the corner's too hurt on that one. Oh, the centering's not good. And finally I walked up and I was like, holy cow, it's perfect. All right, how much? And it was just one of those things where it's like that actually was really cool. So that's
What a
one of my
minty
big
fresh
properties.
pickup.
I'm still
We
so
walked up.
excited with it.
I walked up on him closing that deal out in the video. And I said, so would you have to trade for that? He goes, a little something called cash. And I'm like,
Wow,
funny.
Tracy, you got big leagued.
yeah, it was pretty funny.
Well, because
Um,
originally I had said I was going to trade him something, and
Yeah.
it was going to be part trade, part cash. Hackler walked away, and he came back. He goes, "Oh, so what'd you trade?" And I didn't. I ended up buying it. He gave me a better
little-
deal, just cash.
A little something called cash.
Yeah,
That was funny. So yeah, you guys will be fine, dude. Just stay the course. Remember, our fearless leader will say, "Panic slowly, my friend."
Right.
yes.
I think we're a little bit more so disappointed than like panicking or worried
Yeah,
about it. I think it's just like a natural course of feelings. I don't think that we're not at a point where we're just like,
No.
I don't, like,
There's no lack of trust. There's no real worry here. It's just the shoot. I would really like to have been open earlier. Obviously nobody wants to deal with these setbacks. So the feelings are organic there, but obviously this is all in good fun, like Kevin said, because we know at the end of the day we're building something super unique, super special, and something that's going to be worth the drive once it's open.
But in the meantime, you guys better get your butts on loop and start selling some.
That's
bottles.
right. Hey, what about
Move
not having
units.
pressure for ourselves?
Move
Come on
units, and
now.
also let's not forget it's God's plan too. So just stay the course. Trey Huntsman, Kentucky Roadshow. You're, as of now, you're the only shop owner in business, doing business. How's it going in the Kentucky Roadshow this week?
It's been pretty normal last couple of days. Nothing absolutely crazy. Slower release week, I guess, this week. The only thing is Inception and Clearly. But this last weekend was absolutely nuts. Friday, I don't know exactly what our record day is, but if Friday wasn't it, I'd be very surprised. It was pretty awesome. And just kind of show you the ebbs and the flows. Like, we probably had our highest day on Friday and then our lowest day on Monday. Like,
Okay.
it just happens. And but Friday was awesome. Saturday was awesome. We had our local card show here in town, so did all of that. But it was a good weekend with UFC Prism and some other releases in the last bit that kind of sold out over the last few days. So it was really good. Started training somebody new to work in here behind the bar. That was also a positive. Just good weekend overall. Slower start to this week, but pretty much just business as usual.
Awesome. Inception, baseball, clearly Dodgers football Friday, I guess.
Yep. And we're also working on the signings for football, basketball, things like that. Now that NIL is getting bigger, NFL draft is this month, WNBA draft. Kentucky has arguably the top prospect in the WNBA draft with Ryan Howard, which can't wait to hopefully have her in here. I was telling Jimmy and David, I think that'll probably set the record for most people that we've ever had at a signing, because she is men's and women's the most accomplished Kentucky basketball player of all time.
That's
so
awesome.
Most loved. And I know that says a lot, but I mean, we're talking like 4 years of All-American. So that'll be fun if and when that happens. So working towards that. And yeah, just business as usual. I can't wait until everybody else. I'm not the only one that has the shop open. I can't wait until I'm not the only one.
Cody Krim, Texas Roadshow. What's up?
So unfortunately, I'm kind of in the same place I was last week. Last week, I was hoping to get an electrical permit done the following day when we recorded last week's podcast, and we still to this day have not gotten that done. They have now been the city. When I say they, we're talking about the city, has been scheduled 4 different times now to come out and just inspect the electrical wiring that we have, and to just say, "Yep, you are good to go. Continue on." And they have now no-showed us 4 straight appointments. We actually talked to the city manager today, and we're told that we will have it done by this week, by end of this week, by Friday at 5:00. It will be done. So
The inspection will be done.
the inspection will be done. So assuming that all that passes, which we have no reason to suspect that it won't, that will then lead to texturing, painting, flooring, and that's really all that we lack from finishing this thing up. So that's kind of the tough part is we're so close to the finish line, but we're, again, kind of like the channels, just having something outside of our control affecting what we have going on. Hopefully I'm here next week telling y'all that we are painting and we are flooring and it'll be done in a week. And the only concern left is the back door. But as of now, that's kind of where we're at.
That's awesome. Kevin, how were things in Bronxville?
So I'd like to thank one of our potential future sponsors, Buc-ee's. I look forward to visiting you this coming weekend. Always fun. And then to my shop updates, my contractor said that the town was coming in this week to do a pre-start of work walkthrough inspection, and he went as far as to give me a completed by May 1 estimate. I'm going to be cautiously optimistic, but hopefully next week we see, or later this week we see the ball rolling and movement happening. I did ask him when they are loading stuff in and all that and getting ready, if he could give me a ring just so I can get some content out of it.
There you go. I'm saying mid-April, Kev.
Let's go. I love it.
That's what I'm talking about.
I'm saying next week.
What happened to
Wow, hold on.
That's too soon. I'm not ready. I'm not ready for that.
Too much positivity.
Too much pressure. That's too much.
That's awesome. Well, hopefully in 2 of our 3 remaining to be open store cases, we're going to have lots of content over the next few weeks of stuff really coming together. And then hopefully California can get their roadblocks navigated. Now, Kevin, you keep referencing that you're going to be in Bucky's
At Bucky's. Yeah.
and you're going to
Yep.
see Cody this weekend. What
Yeah.
is there a show in Texas? I'm not aware. I thought the
Yeah,
Dallas
there's
show
a-
went
there's a-
until May. And
There's a great card show. No, WWE WrestleMania. We are gearing up for Prism release, and
Yes.
WWE said, "Hey, let's have WrestleMania right around the time of Prism."
Yes.
So WrestleMania is a 2-night spectacular. I think they're calling it the most stupendous WrestleMania ever, or some ridiculous tagline like that.
I'm down.
But I had purchased a box or case, I guess, of WWE Topps Transcendent, which came with a ticket from Topps to WrestleMania and a VIP party. So I'll be in Texas taking in a whole bunch of wrestling this weekend. So it's gonna be a good time.
That's awesome. And then you're obviously pretty excited about the release of WWE Prism next week as well.
I'm cautiously optimistic about it. I will, candidly say that it is an interesting price point. It's going to be outside of Transcendent. It's going to be the most expensive wrestling product released, or at least market value of it right now is. So the checklist looks great, and I mean we could dive more into this next week. But there's a lot of rookies, a lot of the key guys who I think are going to be good rookie cards to have are vertical base cards versus horizontal, because the checklist breaks that down. The autograph checklist is awesome. Some of the dual autographs that they put out there are really good. The color blasts. What was that?
The Rock doesn't have any autographs, right?
No. He
Doesn't even have a color blast.
The Rock, yes. Cody
really?
Jumped the gun there. The color blast, and I would love to.
I don't know if I'm
try
allowed
and-
to say that. Is that public knowledge?
The checklist is
Okay.
public at this point, yes. So the color blast is essentially it's a 10-card checklist, usually the big chase. And Panini chose the interesting direction of what appears to me going exclusively with active athletes versus any legends, with John Cena being the only like fringe, because he's kind of active because he fought a couple of months ago, but like isn't there every day. And they I'll just say I think they left a lot of hype and money on the table by not having a Rock color blast or Stone Cold or Triple H or The Undertaker, like any of these legends who me and Cody were having this discussion before the checklist was public and we didn't know who was on it, where we said if The Rock had a color blast, I would bet my bottom dollar that it would be the most expensive sold color blast, overshooting LaMelo Ball, which I think the first LaMelo Ball sold at like 24,000. It'll be interesting to see how that's received, just because with the price point, on Blowout at time of recording, it's at about $850 a box. And color blasts are usually the big chase, and all the names are good, but not many like knock your socks off names. So it'll be interesting to see.
To your point, Kev, I would even think that Stone Cold, if Stone Cold was in it and The Rock wasn't in it, Stone Cold would still have the potential to be the highest selling color blast of all time.
I think if you take those, I mean, and if you wanted to go back even further, if you put a Ric Flair or a Hulk Hogan, like
you're making me more upset about this.
I'm well aware, and hey, maybe next year they'll do it, but like,
well, I think that's what I was going to say to kind of offset that, is that they don't want to shoot everything in this first release and not have,
of course,
something to do next year too.
But I mean, look at how many color blasts does Giannis have? How many color blasts? It's a give and take a little bit. I think that it's public knowledge now that Panini's time with the WWE license is not going to be as long as maybe people had initially thought. Why not just absolutely come out swinging? Although I guess that announcement didn't happen until after Prism had already wrapped production.
Yeah, that checklist and that product had probably already been produced by the time that news came out that somehow Fanatics has taken over the WWE business, which we can get into maybe more next week when we break down
definitely
WWE Prism. Well, Look, until Prism releases, Kevin, you've got some WrestleMania to attend.
Are you going, Tracy?
Can't wait.
I am not. I'll be tuning in on the TV.
How many WrestleManias have you been to?
I think I've been to 3 or 4. 3 or 4.
In years past, you didn't have any desire to go?
Well, I kind of went when it was geographically convenient.
So Dallas.
Houston twice, I think. Dallas.
I have a ticket to the second WrestleMania ever. WrestleMania 2.
You weren't alive,
right? But I have the ticket stub.
Is it
so like you want to trade that?
Well, I just thought, I was like, oh, is that worse? I bought a big old bag of tickets at a thrift shop once, and that was in there.
I don't want to build any WrestleMania hype for the folks who may not care and not want to tune in, but there is currently a conspiracy theory floating around that The Rock has been in Hawaii for the last month, and he's never stayed in one place that long that's like not his home, and they said that he might be training in secret to make a WrestleMania appearance.
Huh. I haven't been watching his Instagram. He's been there for like a month. We thought maybe he's filming a movie or something, but that's great. That's a great conspiracy.
And they've been playing up he's never going to go back to WWE anymore because he's afraid of the things they might dig up. And
right.
So he's going to, dude, if his music sounds, that place is going to collapse.
Erupt.
If his music sounds, I'm going to be upset I didn't go.
I mean, look, I'll let the cat out of the bag. I'm sitting in the third row, like hard camera side. So like you guys will see me the entire time.
That's awesome.
You
should wear some Roadshow gear.
Yes.
I don't have any besides New York Roadshow. I'm
perfect.
gonna like hold up. I'm gonna get a Roadshow card sign and hold it up like roadshowcards.com. Just to try and plug some website traffic.
I like it. Well, for those of you all listening or watching who want to check out some previews of the WWE Prism stuff, Scott Prusha and the friends over at Panini America have previewed some autos, some base, some parallel. So check that out, and maybe we'll have a preview of it next week on your favorite podcast, the Roadshow Roundup. Is there anything else that we need to cover up before we bid each other and the loyal AWLs adieu?
All right.
I love y'all. Okay. I love you. Everyone watching. We all love you. We thank you for watching, and we'll do it again next week. What do you say?
How about it?
Bye-bye.